Hey everybody, welcome back to On a Roll. I'm Zach.
I'm Nick.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Noah.
And this episode of On a Roll is brought to you by Paramount Pictures' Ghost in the Shell. We'll hear about that a little later. But for now, let's talk about Blockbusters. It's like almost summer.
The store?
He counts. Spider-Man counts as a blockbuster. Yes, they're very relevant now. No, but Blockbuster... Okay. Lots of film critics, they're not actually a huge fan of blockbusters in general. I think they get kind of a negative reputation. Probably for good reason, but like...
I'd say for a very good
They
reason.
make the money.
They do, I mean, obviously, they're the only... they're most of the reasons why studios can even do indie projects. I always found that relationship actually pretty interesting in that they really do rely on these tentpole projects, but in a lot of ways, the whole indie section of the film industry, they also rely on these tentpole films because they don't get funding from the studio with them succeeding. So, you guys, I don't know, would you guys say that like, if a blockbuster doesn't succeed, then there's probably a few indie movies that don't get made either? You think that relationship is like that direct?
I think it's sad to think of it like that, but I think that is somewhat,
I don't think it's that one-to-one.
yeah, I think it's somewhat true, like indirectly, but
So the first blockbuster is Jaws.
I was hoping Nick would have some sort of
Where's your
idea
wisdom,
to
Nick?
throw in there.
Hang on, let me get my nose here. Well, you see,
Just stop talking. I'm just sick of being disappointed by you. What were you saying about Jaws?
wow,
Jaws is the first blockbuster.
considered.
That's all I actually had to say.
Directed
about
by
that.
some no-name, right?
Yeah, maybe
What
name
he'll
names.
do?
become something one day.
Yeah.
It is
I
the
love
first
Jaws.
blockbuster, yeah.
It is.
But
So-
it was considered
okay.
like the summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
Now blockbusters are year round.
Okay.
I don't know. I still think summer blockbuster is. I mean, that's
Still a
when that's
thing.
when they're released. I mean, that's when that thing is. That's what started that sort of deal. That's like when it
Yeah.
came out because that's what.
I don't know about that. Maybe it was, but not anymore.
No, the
like
landscape has
November.
changed.
November is also gets back into
Yeah.
blockbuster season.
Yeah, like the past
It's
couple,
awesome.
December
season.
now.
the past couple
Christmas
Novembers, we've
Day.
had Spectre, Skyfall,
All of
most
the-
of the
all of the Star
Hunger
Wars,
Games,
the new
all the
Star
Star
Wars
Wars,
movies,
is
they
Yeah,
all
all
come out
Star
now.
Wars is an
December.
interesting choice.
And then even if you look back over the past couple years, Deadpool February, Logan
That was-
February,
that
Ghost in
was-
the or
it's
Logan
March.
Yeah, Logan's money.
And the Deadpool one, I think, was a lot of the marketing that was built into the whole.
But Kingsman made
Valentine's
$400
Day.
million a couple years ago, and that came out in February.
Well, I don't know about that actually because Deadpool's an interesting choice because A, it's an R-rated like tentpole movie.
Yeah.
They're really not supposed to generally make those most of the time because
Well,
the
they
kids can't go see them. But the idea that they would release it in February is interesting to me because that's not a tentpole season. I think it's
Well, it's because they didn't think it was going to work, or they didn't know if it would work or not. It's because they were completely unconfident with it.
well, but
Which
that's
is what happened with Jaws initially, is because they thought, well, this looks terrible. Let's release it in the summer and stuff like that, and then that kicked that whole thing off. And I think that's the same with most of them. I mean, I think they're all different. The Star Wars one, I think, is because they realized nothing comes out of it besides Oscar bait around that time. There's nothing to compare with Star Wars, so if it just releases then, it beats everything. Nothing comes close to that anymore. So
But I don't know. But what's the logic behind releasing a movie that you think is going to fail in February? Because kids are not out on break in February. Like, I guess
it's
maybe
the way they have to
college
it's the way
kids
they have
are
to
out.
schedule releases between.
Yeah, like
They
But what's
can't
the
have them too
distribution.
close to each other. They don't want them too close to each other. There's room. It's a constantly changing thing. I think it was what's the Moby Dick movie with Thor in it?
In the Heart of the Sea.
Yeah, like that movie, that got shuffled around like several times because the studio didn't know when to release it because they didn't. I don't think they had a lot of faith in it after like some of the development time, so it kept getting shuffled. It's like, oh, it's perfect for Christmas. No, it's great for the opening of summer, and it like took like a couple of years before they even decided to release it. I don't even remember when they decided. I think it was during the summer. But it's just, I think that's what it comes down to, is just where can we place these certain things. And that's why, again, I think it doesn't necessarily have to be something they're unconfident with. Because like Logan, I think they were fully confident in that movie. I don't think they were just like, let's brush this off to March or anything like that. So.
Or like Batman vs Superman last year, that came out
Yeah,
in March.
That was
that's,
May.
That's different. No,
Oh, that
it's
was
March.
March.
It's late March. was like
It
March
was?
25th.
Oh, you're
I
right,
think.
it was
Yeah.
March.
But that's different though, because Logan and Batman vs Superman and all these are all very established brands. Like, you know they're gonna make money. There's always gonna be some market for them, no matter what happens, even if it is like horribly bad. But
It's not like a new blockbuster.
yeah, but Deadpool was not necessarily a surefire hit in the way that the other ones were. I get that it's a scheduling thing, and they had Apocalypse later in the year that they wanted to come out for summer because it's PG-13. More kids can go see it. But I just thought it was an interesting choice to set it like so much in a desolate time, which might have helped, but maybe it helps that all the older, like not the college kids aren't out. Maybe they're on break, early spring break. College kids get out earlier for spring break than like younger kids do, so maybe that helps because they fit right in that demographic. But that's enough on Deadpool. But okay, so we were talking about In the Heart of the Sea, the Moby Dick movie. Do you guys count that as like a blockbuster movie?
Yeah.
I
got
haven't
Chris
seen it,
Hemsworth in
so
He fights a
Not
giant
really.
whale.
No.
I mean, if
don't?
you look at the budget, yeah, because it was made for like $100+ million.
It
But
did
like,
horrible.
but like, because if you watch the trailers, you're like, oh, this is an action movie, and you go and you watch the movie. No, it's like a
It is
it's like a
sitting in a boat
direct
the whole-
adaptation of like the book. There's like it's not an action. Like
It's as much as they could get away with in a movie. To be
Yeah.
fair, if they did a direct adaptation, it would be like 3 times longer, and there'd be more sitting around being like, whales.
yeah, but like that's like because it's like a dark movie. Like the whale only shows up for like
Yeah, it
5
barely
minutes.
does. It's like more of a catalyst to set off other sorts of events. The book is actually more about the conflict between the first mate, I think, and the captain and stuff like that, and just like a story of like recklessness or like what is it, ego and stuff like that. Again, yeah, the whale.
doesn't even show up. But
It's
if you
not as
watch the
much of a
trailers,
thing.
you think it's like
But you could see where
Old Jaws.
Moby Dick got its inspiration from
Yeah.
the original story. Yeah, it's not a great movie. So
no, it was poorly marketed. Was really what the problem was.
Well, but like, so you guys don't think it counts as is it a tentpole movie? I'm saying for the year.
No,
No.
no.
they
what do you
might
define
try,
as a
but
blockbuster?
No, that's what I want to get out of you guys. I want to know what you think, because like, I think the idea of a blockbuster is very different. Like, Jaws is a blockbuster. I think E.T. counts as a blockbuster, but they're very different types of movies from like Transformers or yeah, any really like.
Well, it's just stakes have changed. That's such a far span of time to compare E.T.
Yeah.
to Transformers.
I mean,
I'm trying
Steven
to think of,
Spielberg
like,
was
I
involved
think
in
they're
both
both
of
blockbusters. I think they're both.
How was he involved in
just-
Transformers?
He produces them.
That means nothing.
No, he
I'm
doesn't.
sick of hearing
Yes, he
that.
does.
Steven Spielberg
What?
produces
Transformers
Transformers.
1, produced by Steven Spielberg.
Okay, 1. That's before
One
he
doesn't
knew.
And then he knew, and then he's never
he's like,
involved
"No,
with
I'm
them
done."
again.
Quick, Rachel, defend
The
Transformers.
first
go.
one is the best one. I mean,
No.
I wonder why.
what's the best one, Rachel?
Please say 3. No, 2.
The one with the robot dinosaur. To say that one.
We put her on the
Two.
spot.
2.
Oh no!
I think 2 is my favorite. yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Is that the one with Megan Fox in it the most?
I don't like Megan Fox. God, we went over this. No, Lizzie likes Megan Fox. But
Shut up.
I think the second one was my favorite.
I'm glad they're still making those movies. Are they done now? Is that the last one?
No, the new one's about to come out.
It's got
Yeah, is
last
that the
in
last
title.
one?
Oh,
No.
I know, I think
there's-
they
I think there's the
planned-
second one. Yeah.
one or
A
two
new-
There's
more.
there's a second sequel after this one.
Like
Yeah.
a new
Part one.
trilogy.
Yeah.
The Last Night Part 1?
Or is it a saga? No. I don't know.
The
I
part.
feel like I
I'm-
just remember them being like, "We're making 3 more." like, how do you plan to just make 3 more? Like,
Oh no, there's a Bumblebee spin-off now.
oh my
I think. Which, I mean, I guess if anyone should get a spin-off, it should be Bumblebees.
Or how about none of them? Soundwave actually deserves it. He's the best Transformer. What's everyone's favorite Transformer?
Optimus Prime.
I don't. I
You
didn't
don't know
watch
who the Transformers are, Nick?
Cobra's
The one
pretty
that's
cool.
made of metal.
The G.I. Joe guy.
Yours would be Hot Rod, I think.
What would my
dad
favorite
loved,
be? now?
the war
There's
one.
no Asian ones.
Oh,
What's like the weapon?
Oh my God, no, there is.
They shoot in
No,
China.
there is an
That
Asian
counts.
one.
Yeah.
There's like the girls, aren't they? The girl bike ones. Were they Asian? I don't know.
Keep talking about Transformers.
I dare you.
Okay, we can change the subject now. But
I mean, I guess what I always thought was like considered like a blockbuster was like a movie that like a studio banks is going to bring in like 20% of its yearly profit from just that one movie. Because like we talk about like In the Heart of the Sea, like I don't think the studio that made that movie was like 20% of our yearly revenue is going to come from this movie.
Whale movie.
They might have hoped, but
I think they might have hoped maybe to break even and get like some Oscar consideration, but they didn't.
Chris Hemsworth's
that bankable?
acting.
I mean, you know, crazier
Nominated.
things have
The
happened.
scene where he harpoons the whale.
I mean, Matthew McConaughey used to be in rom-coms.
Isn't he still? Or does he just drive
No.
Lincolns around
He just
in the
drives
desert?
Lincolns,
yeah.
and I mean, I think
Yeah.
he drinks that wild turkey bourbon too.
Cries for Marv once in a while.
Marv! Those commercials with him are really, they're good. Have you ever watched the Lincoln commercials?
Yeah.
It's like they know they have to know he's a joke by now, because sometimes it's just like him just sitting
Talking to
around and like
himself.
it's raining outside. He like takes a sip of water and he's like, yes,
Yes.
Lincoln. That's it. That's the entire, like the car will will like be outside and that's it. It's just about Matthew McConaughey now.
As it should be.
Indeed. All right. So, continuing this discussion on blockbusters, do you guys think that they're important? I mean, I think it's fair to say that like up here, all of us like, at least a few of them. I think that's their purpose, is that the general audience will go for them. But would you prefer to go to one versus like an indie movie, or does it just fully depend on what it is?
I wouldn't say I prefer a blockbuster over like an indie, but yeah, I think it just like depends. Like it's just whatever I'm interested in. I'm have an open mind to like movies, but
I think they're just both. You're right. They're just both equally important to one another, because I think the thing I just get the most upset about when it just comes about movies in general is when it's lent too far to each side. People just saying it's dumb schlock that you just sit around for 2 hours and watch, or it's just artsy nonsense and stuff like that. But or like just people just take it too seriously sometimes. There's a middle ground that needs to be found there somewhere, and that's, I think, that's the best place to be, because you need to have like Pacific Rim somewhere there, because giant robots and giant monsters beating each other up. That's great, and like how else are you going to be able to experience something like that? That's just too cool. And then also to have something that's just like, I don't know, the Coen brother movies or something like that, where it's literally just a guy on a road trip
So
or
good.
something like that. It's just, you need to have both, and they're both, I'd say, just as important to each other. And I think that's interesting you brought up the fact that they kind of do need each other in a way, in terms of like being even created in the first place. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree. Like, I mean, I bet you if we went around this table and said like the first movie we remember, or like the first movie that put like a huge impression on us, it's probably a blockbuster film, But as you get
Godzilla.
older, like as
The
you get
first
older,
movie you
you
saw.
appreciate like the Citizen Kanes of the world and stuff. But
I don't know what
you
the
always
first
still
movie
come
I
back
saw
to like those blockbusters that kind of like
Yes,
Toy Story.
opened your eyes for the first time.
I think it's actually interesting because I feel like, at least generally within like the film world, like you should aspire to make more of an Oscar bait movie. But I feel like you were saying, the blockbusters are the ones that get people into filmmaking in the first place. Like they're like, I wonder how many people saw like Moonlight and were like, man, I'm gonna go make movies now. Or someone goes and sees
which is why you get so many
anything.
people where they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, the Oscars are showing up. I'm going to watch all the Oscar movies. And it's like, oh, that was boring and stuff like that. So it's like when people just watch these things, they have no idea what they're even supposed to be appreciating about these things. You might not get it.
People don't think about what goes into making a movie.
Yeah.
I think you definitely appreciate that more when you watch something like an indie or like more Oscar-worthy movie. Not Oscar-worthy, but
Yeah. Well, just like how difficult like it is for an actor to give a good performance or stuff like that. Because like you ask most people, it's like, say this to me like this, and like give me exactly what I want. Most people are not going to know what the hell you're talking about, or have any idea what to do with it. But then you watch something like Moonlight or La La Land or Sad Flick by the Sea. What is it?
Manchester by the Sea.
Manchester by the Sea.
That's the wrong Affleck, but yeah.
They're all relatively the same.
He's a very happy Affleck right now.
Oh yeah.
He's the exact opposite of Sad
Have you
Fleck.
seen that movie? He's a very sad actor.
No, but Casey Affleck got the the Oscar.
How do you think he
Let's not
channeled
talk
that?
about it.
Did he just watch like Ben Affleck for 4 hours and he's like, oh, okay, I got sadness down.
It's just like my brother's Batman.
What do
Well,
I
I
have?
compete with
Oh, an Oscar. Although Ben Affleck has Oscars too, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Rachel brought up something earlier. Do you remember the first movie you guys watched on theater?
Yep.
What is it?
Spider-Man,
Oh my god.
Really? That's a good
Yep.
one.
That was-
When did that come
It's
out?
2000.
2000?
Mhm.
Okay.
No, it's,
No,
the same, it's
2001.
exactly the same for me.
You saw
actually. It's
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man. Yeah, that was my first one.
My first one was Finding Nemo, I think.
That came out like 2004,
Yeah,
didn't it?
I think so.
yeah.
Or was that Incredibles? I don't
Incredibles
know.
was 2003, I think.
I didn't see that in theaters.
It's my superpower.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it was Godzilla 2000. Pretty sure. Which is like, I think one of like 4 Godzilla movies actually released in this.
That's
I
an
think
odd
I
one.
think I was late
Yeah,
to
it
the
is.
movie theater life. Because I mean, before I moved to the UP, I don't think I saw any movies down.
Do they not have movie theaters in the UP?
They have one, pretty much. And they didn't show La La Land till like
People just sit
a couple
by the
weeks ago.
projectors to get
It's-
for warmth. They're
it's-
like,
Yeah, I was about to say, how often do you have to hide from bear attacks in the theater when
They have like the person who's just sitting there with the hand crank.
No, but they like, I mean, that's like part of the UP. They like won't show movies. Like we just got La La Land like a couple weeks ago.
oh, I think you
Wait,
talked
what?
about. She talked about this on the show before. We made fun of how like, well, what else was it that took forever to get up there? Was it just movies?
What do you
Warmth,
mean?
Warmth. Yes. They had to deliver it in boxes.
food. They have to like throw
Stores.
in a raft and send it down the river.
Well, they have to bear-proof it first.
Oh, well, of course.
they just
I'm
need
glad
ice
that's the
skaters
first
that are
one.
fast enough to get away from the bears. That's what it is.
I'm gonna make fun of my hometown every episode.
I love it. It's,
Absolutely.
It's so easy.
you can make fun of Wisconsin if you want.
Cheese. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's,
Cheese.
it's not,
Packers.
not that great.
No, the
pretty good.
Packers. The Packers are cheese.
Both.
Both? No, both
This
are
last
not
year
good.
was not great for the Packers, but
This last year was great for the Packers if you hate the Packers.
oh, okay. What is your problem with? Okay,
Aaron Rodgers is my problem.
let's get on subject.
Well, if you hate sports, like me, that's not true. Sports are okay. But you'd rather watch a sweet blockbuster coming out late March, you should check out Paramount Pictures' Ghost in the Shell, and we actually have a trailer for you right now.
Hey, it's Scarlett Johansson, and we have been hard at work on the new film Ghost in the Shell. We are finally ready to give you a look at it. I'm thrilled to have been given the opportunity to play the Major, and I'm so excited to be able to show you a glimpse into her world. Please enjoy the first trailer of Ghost in the Shell.
This is Major. I'm on site. I'm going in.
You are the first of your kind, but you're not invulnerable.
Maybe next time you can design me better. Everyone around me, they feel connected to something. Connected to something I'm not.
What are you?
You were dying. We saved you. And now you save others.
Words like violence break the silence. All I ever wanted, all I ever needed is here.
I don't know who to trust.
You trust me, right?
I know I have a past. I'll find out who I was.
Everything they told you was a lie.
Who are you?
They did not save your life. They stole it.
All right. Well, that looks pretty cool. Okay, First question: who here's actually got experience with the Ghost in the Shell franchise?
I've seen the first movie, the anime. I'm pretty sure there's several of them already.
No,
Like the
I'm
animated
pretty
movies,
sure
yeah.
there's
And I know there's a manga around it too. I think that's where it started. That's usually how that works. But yeah, I've seen the first one.
And what are your thoughts?
It's really good. Like animation wise, it's definitely one of those things that's like what pushed, like along with like stuff like, have you heard of Akira before? Got on a motorcycle. You ever seen that poster before?
It's red, right?
Stuff like that is stuff like that is kind of like what like showed up what like an impressive medium that can be, and just that's I think like that's what a lot of the legacy with that movie is, just how insanely good and like detailed like the animation is for it. Just like of course if you know how like what it takes to make something look like that, just some like the shots where it's just the main character's hair just blowing through the wind and stuff like that. It's like just so much detail is put into that sort of stuff, and I think that's what a lot of is drawn, or what a lot of people appreciate is like the style of it and the look of it and stuff like that. And of course, that's a huge part of the movie. And so even if you look at the trailer and stuff like that, just this super stylized sort of thing. It's pretty different. It seems to be a bit more less gritty and like that filthy sort of kind of image that the original one kind of put off, which is if you ever seen Blade Runner, it's very Blade Runner. If anyone's a fan of Blade Runner, they will eat this stuff up because it's a very similar sort of themes and stuff like that of like consciousness and stuff like that, and what that's actually supposed to mean, and like how different are we from AIs and stuff like that, or how different is an AI from a human and stuff like that. So that's also a big part of it, and I think that's where a lot of the larger discussion, like the base plot of it is, it's a team of I think they're cyborgs. I'm pretty sure, even though they're kind of like fully developed robots in a way. That's hunting down. It's a whole task force of these guys. They're hunting down one specific hacker called like the Puppet Master, who's really screwing with this big like network mainframe that a bunch of people are hooked up in, and they're trying to stop him. But it gets way out there, and so I'm really interested to see how much of that is adapted into the movie. So.
Yeah, I mean that's always like my biggest like question mark. Like when you do like your adaptation, is like how much do you actually take from it? Like Zack Snyder, like Watchmen, is almost like a literally shot for shot comic panel translation to film, but then like the entire
Except for
ending's
the end,
changed.
yeah.
And then it's like, oh, we gotta change this. So that's what I'm probably the most interested in seeing, is how they make that adaptation, and if they change anything, if they do or if they don't. But yeah, like you were saying,
Which I think they probably will. Considering how out there the ending is and like the later sections. I think they'll definitely get more abstract with it, or try to be less. Because I think that's one of the things with the original one. It kind of like goes, I think, a bit too overboard into the ending. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll just say I definitely think there's gonna be some heavy edits
slight
there.
tweaks.
Yeah, it's in the same sort of vein as like in Watchmen. If all of a sudden at the end there was a giant squid,
Vilgax.
yeah, what would you think? Like what would the reaction be from most people? I mean, did you guys know that was the original ending to Watchmen?
yes, I would have been very.
It's like a giant squid man.
I would have been
Squid
like,
alien.
how did they do this, and why? Why?
And Rorschach's just like, well, I'm gonna go tell everyone about this. And yeah, there'd be a lot of changes to that. But yeah.
Yeah, but like you were
anyone else
saying
have any?
about like the city, that's like one of the first things I noticed. I was like, oh, this looks like Blade Runner in a good way, because
Just
Blade
even
Runner's
stuff that like
so visually like striking.
and I think that's what they're like getting at, because like the whole like the billboards is what I think. That's like straight. That's like exactly what Blade Runner did in the same sort of way, in which it's not even just like a board. It's just like these big hologram 2D images, stuff like that. I think it looks really great. And some of the I think in the trailers they're really highlighting these sort of like spider-like robots that like their faces open up and stuff like that. All that is like practically done. Like the faces and stuff like that, those were all actual like animatronics
Practical
they made and
effects.
stuff like that. Which that's
Cool.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No one does that anymore. Like I'm trying to even think of the last movie that.
Well, Star Wars does practical effects. Some practical
Jurassic
effects still.
Oh,
Christopher
animatronics.
Nolan.
Yeah, some of them are animatronics.
Star Trek does some.
They do practical makeup and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
the most
I don't know how
recent.
many
Yeah, the most recent one. I don't
animatronics are
think
in
they
Star
had
Trek, but
anything.
I know Pacific Rim, they like built the whole sets around the people who were.
They built like those big motion chambers they were
Yeah.
in where they moved around in. They didn't actually build Gypsy Danger. Which
No,
is pretty
of course
sick.
not.
I mean, that would just solve so many. I guess it would cause just as many issues.
To be fair, I think they probably had to rein in Guillermo del Toro because he probably would have been like, yeah, let's build these things, and they're like, no.
No, they're building them. That's why the second one's taking such a long time to
Oh.
come out.
Yeah,
You
they're
think
waiting
I'm
for
joking?
practical
Just
Jaegers.
rein.
No, he's nothing but sad. Which is pretty sad.
Yeah.
Well, tying this back into Blockbusters, I always thought it was interesting how, at least generally, certain like source material is more suited for like more of a blockbuster movie than like say a Netflix series or something like that.
yeah.
And just based on the company that we're talking about in relation to this film, like Pacific Rim and Blade Runner, and this pretty historied series of movies that are in like this genre of blockbuster. I always found that within all of those movies, it's very interesting the discussions that they can like at least tap into, and because it's a blockbuster, it's generally a very surface level kind of discussion about it. But this movie actually looks like it might be diving a little deeper than that. It looks like it's actually wrestling with like a solid theme of like, yeah, what is it to be human or not, human, or does it mean, I don't know. I actually think it looks really interesting. And even before I knew anything about Ghost in the Shell, when the not the trailer that we just showed, but just the regular first trailer, it actually caught my eye even before I heard anything about it. And that's actually really rare that movies do that, because most of the time it's like, skip on YouTube or anything like that. But this one in particular actually really caught my eye, and I think it was definitely just the Blade Runner-esque kind of, similarities between the two. It immediately captivated me. I think it'll be really cool. I think it'll. I mean, even just visually, it's already spectacular, and it's.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I'm just like a complete outsider because I've seen like nothing like this, so I'm just like approaching it with an open mind, and like I'll see what I think. But it definitely like looks intriguing. Like.
That's actually good. Okay, so what would you guys want from this movie in particular? Like what would, if you go in, what are your expectations for it? What are you gonna walk out happy with?
Can I say
I'm just
what
curious
I don't
to see.
want?
Yeah.
Since it's like more of an action-y movie, I just want like not super like choppy editing, because I can't stand that. That was the one thing where I was like, I hope this movie doesn't have that. So as long as it's like edited nicely and like the visuals already look impressive, so I'll be not disappointed, I guess.
And if anything, to build on that, it shouldn't really be an action movie because the original one isn't that much. I mean, of course, they have to play that stuff up for the trailer and stuff like that, but a lot of the original one is a lot of graphic representations of like the screens and stuff like that, and explaining what these sorts of things are, which I think they'll probably hurry that along a bit more in this one. But yeah, I don't know if the action will be as much of a focus actually in this movie. It's more of a detective sort of story, at least early on in it, before it gets out there. So yeah, that's what I would kind of think. That's the thing. I'm just interested to see how close they stick to the original version of it. So,
would you be happier if, this is a whole nother discussion, but how much of that source material would you actually like them to tap into, or would you like them to just take
I'd like them to kind of do their own. The theme is the thing I wanted them to keep intact the most. The way they present it, I think, is definitely, there's 100 ways you could find a way to represent this sort of thing in the theme in general. Like just take Blade Runner for example, and I just hope that that's what stays. That whole idea of human consciousness and what it sort of means. And most of the trailers seem to be playing up that angle quite a bit as like the main story. So that's just, I hope that stays true. That's what it is. So the themes of it.
I guess I'm just looking forward to like a good movie. Keeps me guessing throughout because it definitely seems like a mystery, like crime, almost noir type film. So I'm just like Blade Runner. So I'm just kind of hoping for like a story that keeps me intrigued every minute, and by the end, I'm like, oh, that ending, makes the entire movie worth it. And I want to go back and rewatch it.
High praise. Yeah, I'm actually more interested in how they unveil the story, because like even just the trailers play up the kind of whole mysterious aspect of it. And I have not seen the anime, so I'm actually just really looking forward to how they reveal it. I don't even honestly care what the reveal. I mean, I'm sure I care about it, obviously, but like I just want to know how the mechanics of the story are going to work, because it seems to be some pretty heavy source material. So I'm interested to see how they tackle that and how they bring that to life. Well, we're getting to the end of our time here, but any last thoughts on Blockbusters?
I'm just disappointed in Nick. I just want that to be known.
I'm sorry.
I still love Transformers.
What is your favorite Blockbuster movie? Let's go with that. It's a good way to wrap it up.
Transformers. Bark at the moon.
Bark at the Moon.
I have no. Blockbuster movie.
I don't know. I have to think of like what is a blockbuster.
I think I said it before. Just say it off the top of your head. Mine might be. I really do love Pacific Rim so much, and that's kind of going out there. I think the most important movie is to just how much of the imprint of the director is left on it, and that's why Guillermo del Toro is definitely like top 3 directors of mine, because there's not a single thing he can touch that doesn't have a bit of him on it. There's not even stuff that he worked on the pre-production side of it that doesn't still have his thumbprints all over. And so something like Pacific Rim is definitely amazing, because it is just, there's nothing really more to it than teamwork and we should work together sort of thing on a deeper level and stuff like that. But really, if it's just a fun movie and the people behind it really cared about it and really loved it, I think that's the best part about film in general, to me at least. So I think that's a great movie that represents that and is a blockbuster in which people could look down upon, but
I mean, can I say the new Star Wars movie, Rogue One? I just loved it. I thought it was awesome. It exceeded my expectations. But I'm also really looking forward to the new Spider-Man.
Tom
We
Holland.
couldn't tell.
Bringing it back around. Isn't he also in
He's
the Heart of the Sea? He's in that.
I was going to say that earlier, but I didn't.
Bringing it back around.
He is the heart of the sea.
yes, when he gets crushed by a whale.
Oh, spoiler.
Spoiler.
I actually don't remember.
I haven't
if
seen
he
that movie.
Dies in that movie or not.
It doesn't matter. I guess mine would be Jurassic Park
in the Heart of the Sea 2?
The Lost World.
Jurassic Park
Really?
2?
Oh,
really?
yeah. It was the first movie I ever saw. I saw it when I was 4, bought the VHS at CVS. That's how old it was, and that's what made me
I didn't
love
think
film.
of Jurassic Park.
Plus, I just think, Stan Winston is a god when it comes to animatronics. Look at those. They speak for themselves.
I was giving you that. I actually do like that movie.
Yeah,
It was a
I
while.
might have to slide back in and say that Jurassic Park is my favorite blockbuster.
Oh, I see how it is.
Just rip off
Not
that.
the second one, though. You can have that.
Oh,
The second one is really good. The ending is awesome.
Yeah.
I
think
like the second one.
I think the ending is. I like that more than the first Jurassic Park.
I do too.
That's so cool. Just that scene.
Do you know what is one of the best scenes in that film? When they
The RV thing?
the entire when the trailer's falling over the cliff and
It's awesome. It's awesome.
It's so tense and so good and well
That's the thing.
directed.
That movie has a lot of really good moments, but the problem is, there's just a huge dead zone in that movie of just Jeff Goldblum going,
See, but that's the thing. I love Jeff Goldblum.
compies.
So. I love Jeff Goldblum, so
The beginning of that movie's messed up too. That's a horrifying thing where the girl gets killed by the little dinosaur.
doesn't get killed, gets injured.
She gets eaten by him.
She gets heavily injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Attenborough goes, no, she's fine.
I always thought she died horribly. Okay.
No. What about you,
All right,
Zach?
well, I was about to say, wrapping this up, it's a not a surprising choice, but blockbuster-wise, I think my favorite one is still The Dark Knight, mostly because it came in at a time where I actually really started to go into studying film as opposed to just watching them and enjoying them, and it came out at a time where I could really appreciate just kind of the same thing with yours. Well, you can see a lot of the director's touches on that and the style of. Honestly, I think Christopher Nolan.
He's amazing. He's really
He's
good.
amazing. Maybe a little pretentious in how he explores his themes, but you can tell how much
Interstellar.
him and Jonathan Nolan as writers too just spent time in making that script actually talk about something and be a Batman movie at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Which
I mean,
is an impressive
And
thing
just
to
look
do.
at it. If it's not Iron Man, that's influenced like blockbusters now.
Yeah.
There's not there's very few like big budget action movies just in general that don't borrow some sort of element from there. Like there's not like a movie where there's not like some scheming villain that doesn't like get captured on purpose or something like that. Like there's so many elements that are drawn from that movie still, and that was like
That's
what
almost
was that,
10 years
7
old.
years
no,
old.
It's almost 10.
It's 11.
Almost 10.
Yeah, almost 10 years. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
It came
that
out
was
in
2008.
Yeah.
2007.
That's a really good. It was a good pick.
Came out the same year as Iron Man,
Yeah, it did.
which is 2008.
Thought that was 7.
Nope, both 8. Because that was their big thing. That like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is almost 10 years old, which that's ridiculous too. That's a good
Also
pick.
solid blockbusters.
He is the best pick, I think.
Batman is always the best.
Batman is the best.
But Ghost in the Shell also looks really good. It's coming out March 31st. You guys
Yeah.
should check it out. Let us know what you think. I think it'll be really fun. And you guys should also check out On a Roll in 2 weeks. We'll be back then.
With a vengeance.
Bye.
Bye.